Somebody, Beto, Beto of work. Let's get Beto.
You're amazing. How's everybody doing? Good to see you. Good to be here. Grateful that you're here. Grateful that you're here. Thank you. We've got two really good problems. The first is, as we were coming in, we met a number of people who were turned away. There just is no more capacity within this room to receive them and allow them to join what we're doing. We've got a chance to say hello to them, to thank them, to welcome them into this campaign, to all the campaigns of all the candidates who are here. But it's just a reminder that the work that we've committed ourselves to today has to go beyond what we're doing in this room. It has to be reaching out to and inviting in each and every single person in this community. You cannot be too Republican or too Democrat or too long a non-voter to be welcomed into what we're doing right now. Do we have that commitment from everyone? Let's welcome everybody in, give everybody the chance to do it. The second is, it's really hot in this place because there are so many bodies in here generating so much energy and electricity and heat right now. And so we've asked our team to go out and get waters. As soon as they come in, they're going to be coming in through the front door. We have perhaps a few waters in the back, and I really mean this because this has happened, unfortunately, at other events. If someone is feeling faint, if they need water, Cynthia, where are you? So Cynthia is going to be on the lookout for you. Just raise a hand, and we're going to make sure that we get a water. There's some waters up here too that some of the candidates have in front of them. So let's look out for one another, okay? Let's be excited, but not too excited. Now conserve your energy and thank you for being part of this, or better put, thank you for allowing me to be part of what you're helping to make happen here in Mesquite and in Dallas County and in Texas. Thanks to one of my all-time heroes, Victoria Nyave, for her leadership, for her organizing, for bringing people together, and all of these amazing candidates who have helped to generate the interest in this meeting that has created these two very good problems. We're going to make a virtue out of these problems. We're going to turn the energy that we feel right now, the heat that we're generating, into votes and participation in every single one of these campaigns. And come the 6th of November, we're going to win this thing, right? So my gratitude to each one of you for putting yourselves and your families, your friends, your neighbors, the people in your life and yourselves into the arena and getting out there, because this moment calls for us, for all of us. And I just had the chance to be at Paul Quinn College. Do not tell my friends at the University of Texas at El Paso, but Paul Quinn might be my favorite college now after this moment. Really, really impressed with the incoming students who are commemorating this milestone. It is the first day of the Summer Bridge program. And from the opening benediction, where Dr. Dowdy said the following in his prayer that we were all listening to. He said, "Let's meet disappointment with power and joy." And when I look out to the people in this room right now, when I think about all of those that we've had the good fortune to meet in every single one of the 254 counties of Texas, that is what I have found. I have not found hatred. I have not found us against someone or some party or something. I have not found the smallness that resides in each of us if we let it out, the pettiness, the paranoia, the hatred. What I have found is the big heart, the confidence, the strength, the joy, and the power of the people of Texas. And I see that here right now. And I tell you what, that is the energy of this moment. And profound, and I hope my words can do this justice, is part of the ceremony that has taken place now for 146 years at Paul Quinn College. There is a bell on that campus that used to be on the campus when it was established in 1872 in Austin, Texas, moved to the campus in Waco, now here in Dallas, established in part to give SMU another excuse not to accept students who were African American in the state of Texas. That is part of the history of our state, of this community, of Paul Quinn College. And that bell that used to call the slaves in from the fields before emancipation is the bell that every entering student at Paul Quinn College today will touch on their way in to an education that bell calls them to receive. That bell will be the last thing they touch as they leave that college after 4 years and go out there and pursue the excellence that their president, Michael Sorrell, who is now my all-time world champion hero, for the belief that he lives in those students and in this state and in our country. Someone who took on the job of being the president of a college that frankly was failing. They weren't sure if they were going to make it. They couldn't find the enrollment or the students to fill the seats in the classroom. He told me that he was going to churches and he was asking the people in those churches, can you read the Bible? And if someone said yes, he says, you're eligible now to enroll in Paul Quinn College. And the message that he gave those incoming students today just blew me away. Talking about loving something bigger than yourself, which perhaps is what has brought us together here. Leaving every place that you go better than when you found it. Living, this is one of the things he talked about, living a life that matters. Why in the world are we on this planet right now? Let's make sure that this life that we are leading counts. And then this was the fourth L that he gave us. Lead from where you are. No one's coming in to save the day for us. There is no cavalry that is going to ride to the rescue. There are no super PACs or political action committees or corporations or special interests or pollsters or consultants or anyone else but us who is going to make sure that we get this country back on the right track. And so each one of us has to make that commitment to lead from where we are. That's the decision that Amy and I found ourselves making more than a year and a half ago when we were wondering if this was going to be a country that was defined by walls or rejecting all people of one religion from the shores of a country comprised of people and religions and walks of life from the planet over, whether the press were truly the enemy of the people or whether we were bigger than that, whether there was more to this story and this country and our future and what we could offer to the next generation. And without anyone knocking on our door and asking us to do this, without any poll telling us it was possible, we left our community of El Paso, Texas, that I love so much. The kids that my wife Amy is with right now, Ulysses, 11 years old, Molly, who's 9, their little brother Henry, who is 7. And we hit the road to meet our fellow Texans and determine if we were more than a match for the moment. And the good news is, yesterday, I visited my 254th county in Cook County. And what I can tell you, straight from the people of Gainesville, is that the answer is yes. And it doesn't matter that Gainesville voted for Donald Trump. I can't remember the number. Was it 83%? But it was a lot. Doesn't matter when we went to King County and we went to the county seat there, Guthrie, where they voted for Donald Trump 96.5%. It doesn't matter who you voted for or where you are or where you've been or where you're going, who you love or who it is you pray to, where you were born, or any other small difference that would otherwise divide us at this moment of truth. It just matters that you're here right now and that we recognize that we're in the same boat. And on the things that we care most about, being there for one another, doing right by and for one another, making sure that every child in every community can get that world-class education or be well enough to learn in that classroom because we have high-quality, guaranteed, universal health care for every man, woman, and child in the state of Texas and the United States of America. Whether it's acknowledging and celebrating and capitalizing on the fact that we are the most diverse state in the most diverse country on the face of the planet, and that the fact that people choose us over every other nation, over every other state, because they want to be here in Mesquite or Dallas or El Paso, they want to be here in Texas and contribute to their full potential, and by the way, very often working the toughest, the hardest jobs, those jobs that no one born in this state or this community or this country is willing to do, in part because they want to do better for themselves and their families, their kids, and in their life, but because they want to do better for this country. They are inspired by us, and they want to give back to, not take from, the American dream. That we have the opportunity to help lead this country by rewriting our immigration laws in our own image, to reflect our values, the diversity that I see right here in this room, and to make sure that we do not stop at defending dreamers from deportation, although we must begin there. But it includes making them citizens today so that they can contribute to their maximum capacity for the success of this country, that it doesn't come at the price of deporting their parents or building a 2,000-mile, 30-foot-high, $30 billion wall, or ending immigration, whether you call it chain migration, whether you call it family migration. I just call it success for America. It's the foundation of who we are and what we so often take for granted. Texas can lead the way, and we must. And this is our opportunity, and it's happening right now. And this is how we lead from where we are. For the young people who have challenged me and others who want to hold these positions of public trust and power and say, before you start with your thoughts and your prayers, I want to know what your action is going to be to meet the challenge that more than 30,000 of our fellow Americans will lose their lives this year due to gun violence. And when we respond and we tell them that this state, much like the way we can lead on these other issues, can lead on the issue of reducing gun violence, because we are a state with a proud heritage and history of gun ownership, using those guns to hunt, for self-protection, for collection, for sport, and understanding that along with the ownership of that firearm comes a responsibility and an accountability and an opportunity to save the lives within our lives. And when we have universal background checks that ensure that everyone, without exception, goes through a background check so that we understand whether they are going to be a danger to themselves or to someone else in their life, and where we know for a fact, thanks to my good friends in Moms Demand Action who shared this with me, that in those states that have adopted universal background checks, we have seen a 50% reduction in gun violence against an intimate partner, fewer boyfriends and girlfriends being killed by the loved ones in their lives. We've seen a 50% reduction in gun violence against cops and sheriff's deputies and law enforcement, those sworn to serve and protect the lives in our communities. And when we add to that, by listening to our military veterans, by listening to our members of law enforcement, by listening to our kids and understanding that they are our conscience, we then become an original co-sponsor on the assault weapons ban, because we agree that weapons of war designed for the sole purpose of taking lives as quickly, as effectively, as efficiently, in as great a number, have no place in our schools, in our concerts, in our churches, and on our streets. And for the young people who have forced this issue, you have made this possible. No great change in this country ever comes, as much as I hate to admit this, from people like me who are already in these positions of public trust. It is when people force us to act. It was due to those who left the back of the bus and moved up to the front of the bus, or sat at those lunch counters knowing full well they would be spat upon, they would be dragged out by their collars, they would be humiliated in front of their fellow Americans, those who crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge along with John Lewis and literally bore the blows bled the blood, suffered so that more of their fellow Americans could enjoy that equal protection under the law and the civil rights, which we have not yet achieved, but they got us a step closer towards. By that same measure and that same reckoning, we will be thanking the young people who are among us right now for forcing that issue today. And when we look back on this year where we stopped those walls and replaced them with comprehensive immigration reform, where we met the challenge of being the least insured state in the union with universal healthcare, where we met the scourge of gun violence with gun safety legislation that was written here in the state of Texas, when we met the challenge of being the 49th state in voter turnout, not by accident, but by design, because people have been gerrymandered out of their congressional districts due to their race or their ethnicity. And we gave everyone, every single one of us, a reason to vote because we're listening to every single one of us. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what day it is, because this campaign is for everyone, everywhere, every single day. And you have made this possible. And whether you measure it in the fact that though we don't take PAC money or any help from special interests or corporations, we have outraised the sitting junior U.S. senator, not by a little bit of money, but by a lot. Or whether you measure it in, for whoever cares about this anymore, the polls that show that we are anywhere from 11 to 3 points down with almost 5 months left to go in a state that has not elected a Democrat to the United States Senate in 30 years, since 1988, and Lloyd Bentsen did it, in a state that has never elected an El Pasoan to statewide office. This is a state that is not just going to show the rest of the country that we can win this race. This is a state that is going to help us get our democracy back, because by not taking PAC money, the question will never enter any of our minds who it is that we vote for, who we write legislation for, who it is that we listen to. It is always for people. It is never for corporations or special interests. And I say this as the son of a Republican mother who we have convinced to vote for me in this election. When we say all of us, it really is all of us, and that means those who come to different conclusions on the issues that we care about, who see a different means to getting to the same place that we all want to arrive at. We've got to be decent to one another. We have to be civil. We've got to make sure that we listen to one another when we knock on those doors, when we make those phone calls, when we're texting to invite people into this campaign. It's 254 counties. It's all 28 million of us in the state of Texas. There is no regard for party or voting history or any other small difference. The challenges that await this country, the opportunities that we have before us, are too great for any of that small stuff right now. And ladies and gentlemen, given what's going on in this country, given the question that we know we are going to ask ourselves, and if we don't do it, our kids will for us, for what we did in this year, when everything that we cared about for this country was on the line, when the stakes could not have been any higher, we must win this election. I'm going to ask a small favor. If you could take out your cell phone. When you were in church earlier today, they asked you not to take your cell phone out. We're going to end the day by taking our cell phone out. If you could text my first name, Beto, to 90975. Beto to 90975. That is how we all stay connected for the next 4.5 months. That's how we ensure that each one of us is going to follow through with this commitment and this connection, to knock on every door, to call every phone number, to listen to every single one of our fellow Texans. The election is the 6th of November. You do not want to wake up on the 7th wondering if there was something else that you could have done, another door that you could have knocked on, another dollar that you could have donated, another person that you could have invited into this effort. This is the election of our lifetimes. Beto to 90975. If we do that, if we make this commitment, if we recognize that this is on us and no one else, then we are going to win. Are you ready to win? Are you ready to win? Let's get behind these great candidates. Let's get together with one another and let's make it happen. I'm looking forward to working with you over the next 4.5 months and celebrating with you on the 6th of November. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.